شكرا جزيلا للحضور. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today we'll continue about the second part of our workshop, Introductory and Applied Biostatistics. Yesterday we talked about how to prepare the Excel sheet, how to import the Excel sheet to the SPSS, and we have to do something called frequency test. It's essential because we need to know if we have any clean data. Also, frequency test is important to identify the frequency and the percentage of categorical variables. While for the continuous variables, we need to do other descriptive statistics such as mean, standard deviation. As we said, in each research, we have to have two types of results: descriptive and statistical test. So some descriptive articles, we don't have to do statistical test, but statistical test will give us information if we need to measure any difference in means, any relationship between variables. So if we need to measure the relationship between two or more variables, we have to do statistical analysis. If we need to measure the differences, also we have to do. Also, yesterday we talked about two types of variables, categorical and continuous, and we mentioned if we can measure it as continuous, it will be better than categorical, because in categories we will lose details, and we gave example about the age. If we can measure the age as continuous, is better than intervals. And also we said our test, our statistical test will mainly depends on what? On our data. So it depends on our data. We cannot choose something it's not applicable. For example, we mentioned yesterday, if we need to measure the relationship between categorical variables like 2 by 2 or 2 by 3, which kind of test we need to do? Chi-square, or in case of we have small sample size, we will end up with Fisher test, exact Fisher test. Fisher exact test is the same principle of chi-square, but it's good for if we have small numbers in the cells, because sometimes chi-square is not applicable. So we will use, it's the same principle. We can check it, and if we need it, it's there. Also, we mentioned, this is just review today, yesterday. I want you to refresh with me. Yesterday, we also talked about the hypothesis. As we mentioned, every study, we have an idea. We have a research question, and we have to have a hypothesis questions. And we have two types of hypotheses, either null hypothesis or alternative. The null usually say there is no relationship, while the alternative, there is a relationship. If we got p-value less than 0.05, we will reject the null hypothesis, and we will accept the alternative hypothesis. Sometimes we cannot do this, we fail to reject, that's fine. Negative result is a result. So we need to, first of all, understand our data, then we will decide which kind of test. So the test depends on our data. Also, we mentioned something about the normality test. It'll be faster if I go this way. We mentioned something about the normality test. We mentioned if our data are not normal distributed, we may not able to use parametric test. So parametric tests such as t-test, all types of t-test, independent t-test, pair t-test, one sample t-test, ANOVA, or Pearson correlation, those are parametric tests. We have to choose the non-parametric test in case of we have skewed data. So also the descriptive analysis will depend on the type of data. We can choose the histogram in case of categorical, and in case of continuous, we will use scattered plot. Yesterday, as I mentioned, we have two types of analysis. We have parametric, we have non-parametric. In case of we cannot do the parametric, we have the alternative. We always have the alternative. In one sample t-test, we can use sign test. In two sample t-test, we use manual technique. Per t-test, we use Wilcoxon rank test. One way ANOVA, we can use Cross-Wallis. Pearson, we can use Spearman. If we have also, yesterday we introduced some information about the regression, and personally I like the regression because I think it's the gold standard for the treatment, because as mentioned yesterday, we can't control other confounders. In the correlation or in the univariate analysis, we cannot control other confounders. So I recommend to use regression to control any other confounders, because we usually, if we need to especially find the relationship, or for example, if your aim is to measure the effect, the factor effect, like in my case, factor influencing adverse drug events in nursing homes. So factors, I didn't specify. So there may be so many factors. I don't want to do the univariate analysis or correlation 10 times. Instead of doing correlation 10 times, I will do one regression analysis. This is also, and it's more robust. If you send your result to the for publication, if those reviewers, they are expert, especially if you find someone in usually in our field, those people, they know all those essentials, and they will critique your analysis if you use something simple, or like the correlation for something like you have so many factors, and each time you use the correlation between the X and the Y, the independent variable and the dependent variable. So this is just my advice to use regression analysis. Also, we mentioned if we have more than two continuous group, we have to use ANOVA, because if we use multiple times of independent t-test, we end up with inflation of alpha error type 1. Alpha error will end up with, maybe end up with 50% error rates. Can you see here? Because every test, we will have 5% error. If we do this multiple times, this will increase like in multiple ways. It's not like +5, +1, but it could be more. So keep in mind, I think yesterday we stopped here. We always need null hypothesis. To be clear, you have to have main objective, your hypothesis. And before I defended my proposal, I have 1 page to my main hypothesis. So you need to be clear what's your research questions. Ask yourself, what are my main objectives? Then you may have other or secondary objectives, but you have to have very clear questions, and your study must answer your study questions, or must test your hypothesis, because as I mentioned, we have quantitative analysis, quantitative studies, and the quantitative studies usually we test the hypothesis. This is the objective of the quantitative study. We need to test the hypothesis. We have the hypothesis, we need to test it. Okay? So this is the alternative, for example, alternative hypothesis, which is and we have the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis, there is no difference, or there is no relationship. Alternative hypothesis, which is our research question, we think that, I thought there is a relationship between organization factors and incidence of adverse drug events. So my null hypothesis, there is no relationship, or there is no significant relationship. The alternative hypothesis, there is significant relationship. Okay? This is, I will go to the, this is the type of errors. Type of error, we have two types of errors, either alpha or beta. What's the difference between alpha and beta? Can you someone tell me the type 1 error, which is alpha error? When we reject the null hypothesis and it's true. And the opposite is the beta error, when we fail to reject and it's not true. So this is the difference. So we will have Two types of error, type 1 and type 2. Mostly the type 2 error, we call it beta. Type 1 error, we call it alpha. Keep in mind, we don't want to repeat independent t-test. As I mentioned, we don't want to repeat the alpha error so many times. This is the same thing. I say, if I reject the null hypothesis and it's true, this is alpha type 1 error. If I fail to reject and it's not true, so it's type 2 error, okay? This is statistical error. This is background information, because now we have statistical software. We can use it. But keep in mind, you need to know the principle. You always, as a PhD student, master student, or even if you are the instructor sitting here, you are a member of the defense committee, you may ask the student, I know someone did this for you by statistician. But you have to know the principle. We need to ask the student, I know someone did it for you. You don't have to do it, but at least principles. Why did you choose this test? Why you didn't choose the alternative? You have to know at least this test, why did you choose it, and what the assumption for this test. If you choose independent t-test, did you assume normality? Did you find your results like a normal distribution? This is basic ones. Why did you choose chi-square? Why you didn't choose Mann-Whitney, for example, instead of t-test? Those are simple questions. We need to know our data well. We need to know why did we choose this test, because we need to defend our decision, okay? So define a study question. We need to put hypotheses, calculate the test, calculate p-value, make decision. That's it. This is the whole story. We set the hypotheses. We go to the field and collect data. We do statistical analysis. We answer our hypothesis. This is whole story. We have this circle of research. All the researchers do this, okay? We need to be clear about our research questions. In the Titanic, there is question say, the null hypothesis say, there is no association between class and survival. Between the class of the passenger, whether they are first, second, third class passenger, or their survival, either they died or survived. This is which kind of analysis we are going to. We have two outcomes, which is binary, either lived or survived or died. And we have three categorical groups of passengers. Which kind of test? Which kind of test? Chi-square. So the alternative hypothesis, there is association. So either we reject the null or accept the null or fail to reject. So the basic one is 2 by 3 tables, chi-square. We will end up something like that. And also, we make contingency table 3 by 2 or 2 by 3. And it's the bad things about the chi-square. It doesn't tell us which one is significantly different or which one is associated with what. They will tell you there is significant relationship, but they tell you is the first class has more survival or the opposite? We don't know. We need to look to the table. Okay. So for here we need to look to the table. This is significant value less than 0.05. Most of statistical analysis we usually rely on 0.05 as a decision point. Some of them they rely on 0.015, which is not commonly used. So it's significant relationship. Okay, we reject the null hypothesis. We say there is significant relationship between, but we didn't specify this relationship. We just say there is significant relationship between the class of the passenger and their survival rate. But we didn't specify. We need to have more information. We need to look to at the table to decide if we have which one is higher. So this is the extra information. We need to look at the table. So the interpretation, this is, you know how to do the chi-square. Just a reminder, who just joined us today, we have biostat this. We already imported the Excel sheet yesterday, so the data already loaded there. We don't have to do this every time because we saved the data and we saved all the changes, but we didn't save the output. The output, we export or we import the output as a Word document. Because as I mentioned, if you don't have SPSS in your computer, you cannot open SPSS file. So for your convenience, just import your data as Word. So we'll keep it in your computer without needing for those SPSS program in the future. Just go to analysis, go to descriptive, go to cross tab. So this is to by either row or columns, doesn't matter, but it's just for your organization. So for example, I need to here, I don't have the same data as Titanic. I will use relationship between gender and other categorical variable, such as academic affiliation. So I will use those two categorical variables. Both of them, they are categorical. I put one in the rows and the other one in the column. I will go, if I don't know if I have enough sample size or not, I may just click exact feature TTS just in case. Go to Statistic, choose chi-square, because without checking this box, you will not have the results. So we'll say, okay, we'll wait. This is the result we have here. This is not the same example as I mentioned. We don't have significant relationship. As you can see here, we have a p-value, p-value more than 0.05, which is not significant. So it doesn't matter here which one is higher. If we can do other one, just go descriptive, go again to cross tab. I need to measure between gender and specialty, and do same thing. This time should I wait or, yeah, this is the one. There's no significant difference. Do other ones. Special between gender and I don't want this gender. I will choose something like the hospital, which is private or public, and the physician gender. Let's see this one. No significant relationship, because doesn't matter. This one we don't have significant relationship. So to check if in case we have significant relationship here, we need to look to the table, to this one, to see which one is higher, for example, okay? So in this case, in the Titanic case, we have the Titanic here. Either we look to the column or to the row, it doesn't matter, but we need to find some relationship. So for example here, the percentage of died people. The percentage of died people for the first class, we have 15% from the first class. From the second class, we have 19.5. From the third class, we have 65%. So the majority of died people are from third class. So we can now say there is significant relationship between them, and we can say people at the third class, they have a significantly higher rate of mortality, higher rate of death, or less rate of survival. You can choose those explanations, but at least now we know which one is higher. I don't want you to guess or to put something you like. I need you to rely just on your data. It could be the opposite. It doesn't matter. Don't put something logics. It doesn't have to be logic, because our result could be illogical. We did something wrong here and we got wrong results. So it doesn't matter. Don't change your results. This could be, if you change them, this one is dishonesty, this one falsification or cheating or unhonesty, whatever you call it. Don't change your results. You got what did you get? So just rely on your data. After you got those data, you can explain them. You try to find justification for them. So in the discussion part, you try to find justification, okay, to your data. First of all, you need to explain it. Why? Then you compare it with external resources. This is not my topic because I go there. Because we don't have to justify the data and the results. And the result, we only mention it, interpret the data. Mention there is significant relationship between the passenger class and the survival rate. And the people at the third class, they have, at the higher class, maybe they have less mortality rate or more survival rate or significantly higher. You can use those terms. Then you don't have to justify it. Just put it as it is, okay? Just mention it and put interpretation, because someone and also other things. If we did something, try to be like in each table you put it in your results. You have to, this table or this figure should be independent, should be self-explained. Don't put acronym on the table without explain the acronym. Even the significant significant value, you need to put this one is significant asterisk and what's the significant value. And also you need to mention which kind of test did you use. Sometimes people, they put tables and they put demographic data and they put p-value at the end and they put asterisk and this is significant, but I have no idea which kind of test. They say, I already mentioned in the statistical analysis, but you mentioned 3 types of tests. I didn't know which one for this table. Each table should be self-explained, very clear, and بالعربي احنا ممكن نصيح لقائم بذاته. ما احتاج اني اروح للستاتستيكال اناليسيس دا اشوف فيها التست اللي مسوي. المفروض تيبل انت تخلي لي جوا نوعيه التست المستخدمه. هذا ممكن يكون فيشر اكزاكت تيست وممكن يكون كاي سكوير. حسب الريزلتس اللي يعني ماخذها، وقلت لكم شنو الفرق بيناتهم، ماكو بيناتهم فرق. هسه نسويها. يعني بالريزلتس مالتنا مثلا just in case بس اشوفكم هاي. هسه اني قصتهم اثنيناتهم طبعا. In my case, I measured both Fisher exact test, this one, and Pearson chi-square. This one is for Pearson chi-square, and this one for Fisher exact test. In case I have this one, I have warning. Can you see the warning here? This one is warning. 6 cells have expected count less than 5. The minimum expected count is point. I have some warning. So I don't like, or I don't prefer to use the chi-square. We have limit about the number of cells with the less than 5, not more than like 5 cells. And for the less than 1, I have only 1 cell. So in this case, I will use the Fisher exact test. It's exactly the same as chi-square, but I only will choose this p-value. Can you see here? We did the both. But I will choose this because this one will be invalid in this case, because I have this warning here. I have some cells, they don't have the enough expected value. So don't report the chi-square in these cases. We have I think in the slides I already mentioned the minimum. We have in each of those tests we have we call it assumption, or you can call it requirement. In each test we have requirement. If those requirements are not met, we cannot use this test. Like in case of normality, we cannot use parametric test. In case of maybe sometimes we need the equal variance. Sometimes even the regression, we have a specific criteria if this regression is reliable or not. We have specific tests for each type of regression because we cannot just run the regression and take the results. Our model may be invalid. Keep in mind we have something called diagnostic test to make sure, especially for the regression, we have diagnostic test to make sure our model is valid. So this is the chi-square. Do you have a question about the chi-square? The principle we have, this is both categorical variables. Some people, they say, they will ask question, they say, if I have one categorical and one continuous, what should I do if I need to measure the relationship between those two? Keep in mind, it depends on our goal. If we need to measure the difference in means, we will use the t-test group. But if we need to measure relationship, independent t-test or t-test in general will measure the difference in means. It's different than measure relationship. Measure relationship between one continuous, one categorical. We could use one of the univariate analysis of the regression. Some people will like to do Spearman correlation, but the Spearman, they have specific rules, and it's easier to use the regression because it's also to be univariate. I can put the binary in the outcome, it would be logistic. If I put the continuous in the outcome, I will use the linear. So it's simple. We can use univariate analysis in the regression, or we can use Spearman, it depends. So all these histograms, they did this to make sure they understand which kind of, some people they like to report the n, others they like to do both. Some people they like to put the percentage. So people say percentage usually is more representative because in the numbers, you know, we will lose the track. Which one is higher? What's the total number? But in the percentage, as you can see here, we have higher percentage of death among third class and second class compared to the first class. That's it. We are done with the chi-square. Do you have any question about the chi-square? I didn't want to go to the background because I assume this, you already have the background information about the expected value, about the observed value. I don't want to go to the, this workshop is similar to the biostat 2. It's not biostat 1. Biostat 1, يمكن دكتور عبد الله درسه. You have to have the knowledge and the background about the principles before you go to the applications, because you cannot jump directly. Like in my certificate study, I took the courses in sequence. I didn't jump to the applications. I took the biostat first, I took the intermediate, then I went to the application. So you cannot jump directly here. I just give you like brief description about the background, but you have to have some basic knowledge about the background, theoretical background about each test. What are we measuring here? I'm trying here to mention or to explain only how to use the test, how to use the software, and why we choose it. For example, here, check the number of cells with expected count less than 5. SPSS report percentage of cells with an expected less than 5. If more than 20% of the cells, يعني إذا عندنا 4 خلايا يعني خلية واحدة 20%, okay, then the test statistic doesn't approximate chi-square. In this case, we will not meet the requirement for chi-square. So if you have more than 20% of the cells, they have expected value less than 5, the chi-square will be invalid. even the chi-square be invalid. Keep in mind the alternative is Fisher exact test. If any cell, even one, less than one expected, we cannot use chi-square. This is diagnostic test, you call it, or you call it requirement, or we call it assumptions. We have to meet those requirements. Otherwise, this test will be invalid. 2 by 2, 2 by 3, 3 by 2, whatever, 3 by 3. So do you have a question about the contingency tables, chi-square, Fisher test? It's very simple test for category if we need to measure the relationship between categorical variables. Both of them, they have to be categorical. So don't make it complicated to the student. Like if you have both categorical, just go to do chi-square. It's not important to do the most complicated test. Like we don't have to do regression all the time. If we can do it by simple test, why not? We can do it. But if we have better test, we may look to the alternative. But chi-square will be enough. I have other, like manuscripts, I only did Fisher exact test with it. That's fine. Just Fisher exact test with statistical analysis. I don't want to go for complicated because it's not important to put so many data in your, unless you will able to explain your data and defend your data. Some people, they put so many data, they cannot defend it in the discussion. And you may open those critiques or reviewer, they may open the fire on you because they will have so many critique points in your manuscript, especially if you are sending the manuscript to the international journals. They will find so many questions for you. Why? This is the role of the reviewers. They are picky, they are looking for anything to ask or to correct. So the next one, comparing means. When I say comparing means, which kind of test? من عدد دكتور عبد الله السؤال لكم. Which kind of test you would think? T-test or the non-parametric test, the alternative one. So comparing means if we have two continuous variables or more, we could use T-test, we could use ANOVA if it's more than two variables. So comparing means we need to know if there is significant difference in means. Chi-square, we will find the relationship. Here we'll find the difference. The hypothesis itself is different. There is significant difference in means. There is no significant difference in means. Can you see here? So t-test, we will have pair t-test as a review for yesterday, in which cases we are going to use pair t-test or dependent t-test. Should be dependent, not independent. Oh, those are two different ones. Okay. Pair t-test is synonym to the dependent t-test. In which cases we are going to use this? Just remind me. Before or after for the same subject, for the same, we call it sample. It could be animal study, it could be human study. For the same animal or for the same sample or for the same patient or the same student, we have two or more measures. I have measures before the treatment and after the treatment. And I have three treatments in the row. I have the baseline, I have one after 3 months, one after 6 months, one after 6 months. Those 4 measures for the same individual. So those are, because this is the same subject, the same sample. Those are paired, those are dependent, those are the same one. We cannot use independent or student test. We need to use paired t-test. As I mentioned, paired t-test, it's also simple. I don't have data for everything. I just want to run it here for anything. Just go to compare means Then we go to the paired sample. As you can see, we have to have at least 2. It's better to have 2, only 2, because more than 2 will use a repeated ANOVA. Just put, we have to have 2 continuous. Those are not pair t-tests, but I just want to show you how to use this. Okay, just go click. And as you can see, we have significant difference in means. The significant difference in means between 2 paired samples. Or sorry, 2 paired, not samples, measures. 2 paired measures for the same sample, for the same subject, for the same patient, for the same animal, 2 different measures. عندكم سؤال على بيرتي تيست؟ أعتقد هو simple وdirect. We go to the other one, the opposite one is the independent t-test. We usually have to have, for example, the gender. We need to measure the difference in the age of the female against male, okay? Or the difference in the age between the first class, second class. We have to have categorical and continuous. So those 2 variables, one is categorical, one is continuous. We need to measure the relationship between 2 different groups, male, female, first grade, second grade, first class, second class. Okay? In this case, we will use independent, or sometimes they call it student t-test. We go to the same one, analyze, compare means. In this case, we use independent t-test. And independent t-test, as you can see, grouping variables refer to the categorical variable. We put the categorical variable here, and we need to define the variable. Here we put the gender in the grouping and the continuous and the test variable. And we need to define our group. We have female and male. We could be 1 or 0. So in this case, we will have non-significant difference. We have 2 types of results. It depends on the variance. If we have equal variance, we will use this one. If we don't have equal variance, we will use this one. In this case, it doesn't matter. Both of them, they are non-significant. So we are done. So now you know the difference between the independent t-test and the pair t-test. Do you have a question? You will ask me about the pair t-test. Pair t-test, I haven't used it. But this one, in this case, I only have 1 variable, continuous variable. For example, I need to measure the significant difference between the sample mean and the population mean. From my experience in the field, or from the literature, I cannot say my experience because I have to have reference. From the literature, I know the average of experience years of the physicians or of the pharmacists, the average one could be 10 years. So the population mean is 10. I need to measure if there is significant difference between my sample mean and the population. I have to have number here. I need to bring the number from the external source, from the reference, from the literature. Then I run paired 1 sample t-test, and it's significant. It's really because our sample mean is 4.3, while the population mean is 10. So there's significant difference. We reject the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis says there is no significant difference between those 2 means, but our results say we have significant difference. We must reject the null hypothesis, and we accept the alternative hypothesis. حقيقة ما نستعمل one sample، يعني ما نستعمله، يعني على قد البحوث مالتي أنا ما نستعمله، يعني ما يعني شيء قابل أني مشتغل كل البحوث، وجزء أنت تحتاجه وجزء أنا ما أحتاجه.
تفيدنا بالكاميرات نقيس الهيفي ميتالز عندنا ستاندرد.
حلو. بقى هنا الابلكيشن مالته يجي.
مثل الكادميوم.
فعندك وعندك الريفرنس، عندك الريفرنس رينج. حلو هذا، حلو. عشت ايديكم مثل ما قال الدكتور مناف نبهني عليها، الدكتور علي فارس والدكتور عبد الله. عشت ايديكم، يعني انا مثلا اريد اقيس البلاد ليد سامبل او بلاد صوديوم ليفل، اي واحد من دول، وانا عندي ستاندرد، عندي نورمال رينج او مين معين، اجيبه اخليه بالش اسمه واشوف هذا يشبه الستاندرد العالمي لو اعلى. عشت ايديكم ما اخش استخدام له، خاصة اللي يشتغلون كونستريشن، يعني بلاد كونستريشن، يورين كونستريشن، وات ايفر كونستريشن، في اي شيء يعني. فخش ملاحظة، انا بالنسبة لي يعني حد ما نستخدمه، يجوز على هذا. تقريبا خلصنا من التيست. تي تيست هو قلنا تي تيست، بس المشكلة لازم شنو ريكوايرمنت مالت التي تيست؟ شنو ريكوايرمنت مالته؟ normal distributed, normality. We have to have normal distribution. If we cannot assume normality, if our طبعا اكو تيست للنورماليتي البارحه شفنا لك اياه شكير وهذا الاخ وهذا السكور موف مال هذا الروسي. اذا لقيناهم نون سيجنيفيكانت، طبعا هذا المثال واضح انه اذا عندنا the same subject اللي هو جو has two measures. It depends on the one in 1988, one in 2014. Those are two measures for the same subject. We will use paired t-test. If we need to measure the difference between the subjects themselves, we have to use independent t-test. T distribution, I think this is out of our scope. Central limit theorem. Central basically say if we have n sample size 30 or more, we may assume normality, which is good. So the minimum you need to collect to assume normality is 30 sample size. If you are less than 30, you are most likely to use non-parametric. This is just a guess, but you need to use the test for the normality. But now you know the minimum. If you need to use those t-tests, the minimum. But if you need to use regression, the minimum or rule of thumb, you have to have at least 10 observations per each variable. If you need to measure the effect of 10 variables on your outcome variable, you have to have at least 100n. Okay, observation or samples or whatever. So we have something, basically rule of thumb. There is an equation, it's out of my workshop scope. For the measurement of sample size, we always have to have something called effect size. We need to know the effect. But it depends on the literature. Sometimes we cannot find this information in the literature, effect size. So I will not go for the sample size explanation here. So simple test to check the variance, because if we need to know which kind, as we already saw in the t-test, we have two results, either assume equal variance or not equal variance. How to check the variance? There is Levene test. We can check the variance. If it's significant, those two variants are unequal. If it's non-significant, we can assume those are not equal, but at least not significantly different. We talk about significant, because I think I may like explain this in the wrong way. When I say there is no significant difference, I didn't say those are equal. It could be different, but the difference is not significant. This is a big issue here. The difference is not significant difference than equal. So we may use those synonyms sometimes. In the variance, we may use those. Equal variance, equal to non-significant difference. So null hypothesis say we have the variance are equal. We don't want to reject the null hypothesis. If we reject it, so we will end up with no equal variance. Okay? So in this case, we fail to reject, so it's good. We have equal variance. This is good. This is good to choose which kind of independent output. In each تسمعوني يعني ورا دكتورة السي؟ ليش ما تيجوا لي جاي؟ أنا يمكن الانرجي مالتي راح تخلص والصوت مالتي يمكن يقل. In each SPSS test, we will have more than one box of the output. We need to know the interpretation of those, and we need to know which one are we going to use, because we don't have to use all the boxes here. We can save it in our information, but we don't have to put all the output, because some extra output could be confusing for the readers. For example, here, if I want to report for the t-test, the max I need, I don't want degree of freedom, I don't want the t. For me here, I don't want, because I have those here. I don't want them I could put those information, but I could have only the p-value. Sometimes I only put the p-value. This is the minimum you have, the p-value. Like for example, I have the gender, one column of gender. I have one column of experience. And I have p-value. If there is significant difference according to gender, for example. So it could be at least the p-value there. You can add those 95, but don't put all the output for the audience, because I want the reader to focus on specific output. For example, the regression analysis, I will have 3 or 4 tables. I only need one table. I either combine the tables, I need the p-value and the beta coefficient for the linear, and for the binary logistic, I need the 95% confidence interval, odds ratio, and the p-value. So don't put all the table there. You will have it, but you don't have to put all the table there for the audience, for your manuscript. As you know, for the manuscript, we usually have limited number of words, but for the thesis, we have unlimited numbers. You can put whatever you want. But in the manuscript, we usually have limited number of figures and tables. So for the Levene test, sample variation confidence interval mean we will have 90% of time when we will repeat this experiment, we will have the true mean within this interval. It's good to know. It's good to know the 95% confidence interval. So let's go. I think we already done this. We are done with the first set of slides. The second one, they kind of it's kind of application. For the second one, we need to review choosing right test, investigate relationship, correlation. We need to know the non-parametric test, ANOVA, regression if we have time. Choosing the right test, I already borrowed those slides from external source. Those are not mine. I just put the references over there. This is something I need to declare. Those are not my slides. I just put my name as presenter. So I put some slides, like this one is mine. But this one is mine when I took the first biostat in 2012. This is in biostat 1. They give us this chart. They say how to choose the right test. For example, if we have here, if we have a normal distribution, we can choose the t-test. If we don't, if we have two sample, we go to the either paired or unpaired. If we have one sample, we go to the one sample t-test. And also they ask if we have the more than two groups, we may go to use ANOVA. And if we don't have normal distribution, we will end up to using non-parametric tests such as Wilcoxon rank test. So basically, if we don't have this one, I know it's confusing, but you will have it. I think it's you can use it because it will take you step by step. If you have two sample t-tests and you need to measure the difference in mean, you go to the independent t-test. Before you choose the independent t-test, you need to look at your normal distribution. If you have normal distribution, go for it. If you don't have normal distribution, you go for non-parametric test. So اي هو هذا اصلا اني انطوني اياه على شكل ورقه. اني هذا مالتي اخذت الصوره ونزلتها لكم بالسلايدات. هو انا هذا عندي بيها هارد كوبي بوكتهم. اي فهذا الهارد كوبي مالتي يعني احتفظت فيها. طبعا المحاضرات صار ورا ما خلصت هالقد افتهم على الميز مالتي هناك وانطيتهم للطلاب اللي بعدي. بس الشغلات اللي جبتها وياي هذا من ضمنهم. يعني هذا شغلات سيلكتيف يعني عجبني قلت هذا ما افوته يعني. هو مشتغليه باليد هذا بالمناسبه مبين عليه يعني هو مو جاهز. Choosing the right test, we already mentioned this, depends on our normal distribution, on our variance, on our sample size. يعني if we have small sample size, we most likely to go for non-parametric test. Choosing the right test, clearly define research questions, what's the dependent variables. What do you mean by dependent variable? اي يعني مو انا اريد اسمع من يعني انت اكسبرت بالبايستات، نسمع من الطلاب اللي دخلوا الدوره. الواي اللي هي الاوت كم فاريبل، يعني الفاريبل الرئيسي اللي نقيسه. يعني احنا كل القصه تدور على فاريبل، مرات تدور على واحد مرات تدور على اثنين، بس هي اكو بطل بالقصه. القصه هو الاوت كم فاريبل، وكل البقيه هم العوامل اللي تاثر على الاوت كم فاريبل. فخلينا نمثلها هيجي. انا على طول الهدف مالتي هو الفاكتور انفلونسنج، الفاكتور ريليتد، على طول اني لازم عندي اوت كم فاريبل فشيء معين اخليه ببالي الهدف مالها. طبعا هذا we have to have clear research questions, clear hypothesis. يعني انا ما احب طريقه قيس كل شيء وبعدين الله كريم نشوف السيجنيفيكانسي، لانه بالمجلات العالميه هذا ما يمشي الحكي. بالمجلات المحليه والمجلات حتى العربيه والله بدها تتبطل. خو مع المجلات السعوديه ريجكشن ريت ماله كلش عالي، كل ما ادزلهم يرفضوني. ما عندها. بس هذاك اليوم اكو مجله بلكي من قبل عندهم طالبين ميجر ريفيجن. مجلات بالمناسبه المجلات يعني ذاك اليوم دخلت على شو اسمه مجله سعوديه يعني مو مثل التوب مالتهم وحده، لقيت خالين الكرايتيريا مال الاوبزرفيشنال ستاديز. لازم انت تتبع هاي الكرايتيريا عالميه طبعا. لازم تسوي ريبورت للسامبل سايز وريبورت للريكروتنج وريبورت للتايم وريبورت للديزاين وريبورت للانسنتيف. يعني انت خلي لك هيدلاينز، يعني مو بكيفك انت تكتب. شفت الدكتور علي من نزلناها بالفرع وبلكي بدي نشتغل عليها بالفرع، يعني هي مالتنا مال اوبزرفيشنال ستاديز. المجله السعوديه خلتها. فانت ترى المجلات هي مو بلا تدخل سكوباس ودا يصعد الرانك مالتها، الكواليتي مالتها بدها تصعد وبنفس الوقت الريجكشن ريت دا يصعد. يعني احنا يوم عن يوم لازم نحسن الكواليتي مال البحوث مالتنا، يلا نقدر ننافس. يعني انا بعد البحوث اللي تقبلها المجلات المحليه، ترى المجلات بس تطلع مجله مو محليه وشويه بها حظ او سكوباس او عاليه او فري يبدون يتوترون والريجكشن ريت مالتهم توصل 80%. وهذول يدورون كله الميثود. طبعا هو كل الريجكشن بالميثود، كل الريجكشن من الميثود، يعني الباقي كله مو مهم. هو كل الاهميه مالتك هو الميثود. انت اذا عندك فيتال فلو بالميثود ما يقبلوها، يعني انت اصلا مشتغل من البدايه غلط، الفكره مالتك غلط. فاحنا نشجع على، يعني احنا هنا يعني بدينا نسويها بالفرع، انه نسوي باللجنه العلميه نعطي فيدباك قبل ما نبلش الطالب بالبحث اصلا. يعني بالبروبوزل نقعد اللجنه العلميه وندرس شو اسمه ونعطي ريكومنديشن ونعطي فيدباك، نقول له هذا البحث مالتك. يعني هو على طول اكو فكره البحث ما نرفضها نهائيا، بس على طول اكو كونستراكتيف فيدباك. الفكره شلون نطورها وشلون ننميها. الغرض من عندها مو نزيد الصعوبه على الطالب، الغرض من عندها نزيد الكواليتي. يعني هسه انت حتى لو تدز بحث المجله عالميه من يدز لك الريفيور راح يصيغها بهالكلمه: to enhance the quality of your manuscript please address the following comments. تشوف يعني هو الغرض من عنده مو يعاديك، الغرض we need to enhance the quality. يعني بوحده من مثلا مجله مال BMJ مال بريتش ميديكال جورنال دزولي واحد من البحوث، ما يصير احكي بالانجليزي يخاف شو اسمه انه انا سويت له ريفيو. العنوان مالته ما عجبني، بس انا طبعا اعطيتهم في 3 صفحات ريبورت، بس بعدين من غير العنوان كلش ارتاحت. يعني بوقتها كان العنوان مالتهم ما خلنا نحكي انزل شو اسمه، ما يصير اعتقد بيها لازم كونفيدنشاليتي. المهم بس من نشر البحث ونزل كلش ارتاحت، لانه العنوان مالته يشجع على الانتحار، كانه يعني انتحر بكرامه بالعربي. ليش انتحر بكرامه؟ هو طلع راي الصيدلي بالانتحار بمساعده الطبيب. ها؟ فقلت لهم زين هذا عفتوا كل شيء وانت انتحر بكرامه، هذا العنوان يعني يشجع على الانتحار. يعني احنا ما معقول شو اسمه كتبوا الانتحار بمساعده الطبيب وراي الصيدلي بيه. بعد شنو؟ هم كاتبين الانتحار بكرامه يعني هذا اي لا هم كاتبين هسه ما قلت لك نزل بالليل شو اسمه. فيعني ارتاحيت من نزل بعدين وقبلوه بالاخير بعد ما سوينا ميجر ريفيجن. طلبنا هو البحث استرالي، طلبنا ميجر ريفيجن من عندهم وانقبل شو اسمه. وبالمناسبه للريفيور اللي الطلاب او الاساتذه اللي يحبون يسووا ريفيور، اكو موقع اسمه بابلون. هذاك اليوم حصلت بيه كتاب شكر من معاون رئيس الجامعه العلميه. اذا انت ريفيور تسجل الريفيو مالتك بموقع اسمه بابلون، تدز لهم الايميل، اكو بروسس اذا تحبون اشوفكم اياها بعدين مو هسه. وتسجل الريفيو لك، تنحسب لك وتنضاف للويب سايت مالتك، ومن تريد تقدم تحصل كتاب شكر. هو كتاب شكر سالت عليه ما بي اي علاوه ولا كل شيء بيه، بس ما يخالف فد شيء معنوي. ها فد شيء معنوي نحصل كتاب شكر من معاون عميد الشؤون العلميه، وهذا فد شيء زين. حصلت شهر 12 اخر شيء بال 2019. Research question. As we mentioned this already, we have dependent and dependent variables. Dependent variables معناته شنو السنة؟ Outcome variable. Independent variable, explanatory variables. Okay? Factors. Okay? If we need to measure the relationship, difference than measure the difference in means. We have to define our goal, our objective, before we select the appropriate statistical test. Sorry, we have dependent, either categorical or scale. Are boys better at math? We have to measure the relationship between the score at math and the gender. So it's a simple one. We can use independent t-test between male and female according to the math. This is the good thing is when I give you the questions, you need to guess or to expect which kind of test. When I ask you which kind of test, if we need to measure the relationship between the passing rate, like pass or fail, and the gender, which kind of test? Chi-square. So you will be able to just choose if I need to measure the relationship between factor influencing the midterm exam scores. Factors influencing the midterm scores. Linear regression. If we say score, we have continuous variable. If we say failing rate or passing rate, this wouldn't be binary. If it's binary, which kind of regression? It's binary logistic regression. So you have to be able to choose. You will not, eventually you may not use the same one, but at least now you have the ability to decide, to say something, to expect. Okay? So how many variables do we, if we need to measure the difference in means between more than 2 variables, we need to go to which kind of more than 2 variables? ANOVA. Which one is the alternative for ANOVA? Non-parametric. الشباب اللي هم مختصاص البايوستات. ANOVA, we cannot use it because we don't have a normal distribution. Which kind of test? هذه ما قريتوها مال البارحة تشارتات مليانة حكي ما يخالف بس اكو alternative للأنوفا. كروس واليس with a repeated ANOVA فريدمان. بس بشكل عام كروس واليس اللي هو نون بارامتريك تيست. انا مرة استخدمت الكروس واليس اتذكر هيك شيء. Two categorical variables, we mentioned this already. We will use chi-square, scattered plot, correlation. Correlation usually we choose it when we have what? We have 2 types of correlation, person and Spearman. And we have 3rd one as well. We call it Kendall, but I haven't used this before. We most commonly use Spearman. دكتور عبد الله شنو الفرق هذا الكندل ما مستخدمه؟ ما حد يستخدمه اعتقد. خليه هناك الزينه. المهم خليه لك يجاوب شيء. لا يطلع بيها السبلاوي. المهم شنو فرق البيرسون عن السبيرمان؟ correlation. اول شيء خلينا نسال نطلع من الاوفيشال خلينا نسال when we need to use correlation.
شنو الفرق عن
هسه هذا advanced question. هسه question number 1 when we need to use correlation. مو انا اريد اسمع منهم دكتور انت حتجاوب كل الاسئله؟ يعني انت اكسبرت بالبايوستات. when we need to use correlation. انا اذا شفت تعب مال البارحه فاد لو ما حكينا بالكورليشن حكينا شويه. الشباب مو انت مدرسهم دكتور نصهم جايين من طب الاسنان لا تبعوا عليهم. correlation من when we need to use correlation. بالضبط correlation هي relationship. مثل كلمة relationship هي أوسع. احنا مرات نرمز له correlation. هي كلمة correlation جاي من relationship. If there is correlation, if there is a relationship, it could be negative, it could be positive.
لا انت حتفوتهم بالتايب دكتور.
موجود مو هسه حاجي عليه. موجود بالتايب موجود مو هسه حاجي.
هو الكورليشن سترينث ام دايركشن.
اي مو موجود فارده هيئهم نفسيا.
بعدين من تعطيه تايب لازم يميز لينير نون لينير بوزيتيف نيجاتيف بعدين لازم احنا هذا كله نشرح لهم اياه.
هذا كله ما هو
تايب اوف كورليشن.
دكتور عبد الله هذا خوش موضوع بس يطول شرحه راح نختصره هنا. برا
تعطيه تصور دكتور.
اي برا يعني انا من درست البايوستات بجامعه ايوا درست عبد الله بيسك ثيوريتيكال 1. الدكتور عبد الله مطورين الكورس دي ينطون اس بي اس اس فوق بيسك
كونسبت هاي الدراسات عليا هذا فور يعني شلون لكتشر واحد بعدين نبدي ادفانس وياهم
احنا
ريجريشن كورليشن حتى بال يعني بالتستات اللي بدنا نعطيهم اياها.
اي احنا هناك شنو احكي لك اللي سويناه؟ اللي سويناه اخذنا بايوستات 1 كله بيسك كله عباره عن كورليشن طبعا ريجريشن ما بي دا احكي لك اخذته دكتور دا احكي لك ما دا احكي لك الهيستوري عم يصير لك تصور يعني عجبتني الفكره حقيقه واذا نطبقها هنا يجوز ما اريد اقول المهم بعدين اي دكتور اللي سووه هناك بايوستات 1 بي بيسك كله كورليشن تي تيست شغلات هذني كلهن الاوليه مثل ما نقول عليها تي تيست الكاي سكوير الكورليشن يمكن حتى بها انوفا كلها بيسك وثيوريتيكال يسووا انترو بايوستات 1 بايوستات 2 اخذنا الريجريشن نزل الريجريشن انت تصور الريجريشن اخذنا عليه سمستر كامل هو كورس كامل بس ريجريشن يعني بي 15 اسبوع ما اعرف كم اسبوع ما اتذكر عدد الاسابيع اللي عندهم هناك كله ريجريشن ريجريشن يمكن شويه همينا انوفا وانواع الريجريشن والكاتيجوري. وبعدين ورا ما خلصنا بدينا ناخذ كورس تطبيقات. يعني انا اللي اخذته بوكي كان اسمه ساس وار، انا اس بي اس ما درست هناك، ولذلك انا تقريبا مبتدئ من رجعت هنا، أنا تقريبا اغلبها هنا تعلمته. بس هو نفس البيسك، نفس البرنسبل. اخذت ساس واخذت ار، بس يعلموك شلون تسوي كودينج وشلون تستخدم السوفت وير. كورس كامل اني على مدار السمستر يعلموك تسوي كودينج. وبعدين اكو كورس كامل اسمه كاتيجوريكال فاريبلز، كورس كامل لوجيستيك ريجريشن والادفانس ريجريشن. طبعا اكو نيجاتيف باينوميال والجاما، ذني كلهن ادفانس. وبعدين كورس كامل عندهم الكلينيكال ترايلز، اذا تريد تسوي كلينيكال ترايلز، اذا تريد تسوي راندومايزيشن، ذول جماعه الكلينيكال ترايل ياخذوه، مو هذول يسوون كلينيكال ترايلز مال يسوون ريكروتمنت للسبجكت، شلون نسوي راندومايزيشن وتسوي شلون بلوكس وشلون نسوي فولو اب. طبعا فد عمليه ادفانس كلش، عمليه الراندومايزيشن والكلينيكال ترايلز. وبعدين كورس خاص للسرفايفل، احنا سرفايفل هم حكينا بيها. فاذا هو اني لحد الان احنا بدنا نحكي ليفل 1 وانترميديت، ترى كل الحكي مالتنا ما يتجاوز كورسين هناك ماخذهن، هو انترميديت كورس بايوستات 1 وبايوستات 2. انا ايش دا اسوي؟ انا راسا طافر بايوستات 2، انا بايوستات 1 مع الدكتور عبد الله كله عرفته، يعني ما احكي لكم البيسك، المفروض انتم ماخذيه. فهسه انا كل دا اسويه هو بايوستات 2 with some applications. حد الان عندكم سؤال عيني؟ طلعنا هو مو طلعنا على الموضوع، مو اريدك تفتهم البايوستات. هو البايوستات انت المفروض تتدرج به، يعني انت مو راسا تريد تيجي تقيس بلا اس بي اس اس وانت ما تعرف البيسك مال التيست، الاسامبشن اوف ذا تيست، why I use this test, when I need to use it. اكو بي كرايتيريا واكو بي ريكوايرمنت. يعني هو ما دا اخوفكم من عنده، بس دا اقول لك استخدمها صحيح. ما اريد راسا تروح تستخدم بي اس اس، هو الاس بي اس اس ترى ما يفتهم، هو راسا يسوي لك ران. هسه لو حتى تجيب له 15 واحد نوت نورمالي ديستريبيوتد وتسوي له ريجريشن، تسوي له انوفا يسوي انوفا، تسوي له تيست يسوي تيست، بس هو التيست مالتك انفاليد اصلا. يعني هو ما يقول لا. هسه انت تجيب اثنين كاتيجوريكال فاريبلز وخليهن بالبيرسون يمكن هم يقرا لك اياهن، شو العلاقه؟ هو يسوي ران وتطلع النتائج، بس انت يعني هو هذا اصلا ما يصير تسويها من البدايه. فهذا الفرق بين واحد عنده باك جراوند بالبايوستات وبين واحد بس يطبق بايوستات. فاحنا طلابنا نريدكم تعرفون الاثنيناتهم.
يعني هو شنو الفرق بين الكورليشن والريجريشن؟ حتى لو نوت صغير.
هو مجرد دكتور عبد الله ايه جو فور ات.
يعني احنا بعدنا بايوستات نمبر 1 تقول بالحد الاول هو انت لو تباوع الاثنين الكورليشن والريجريشن احنا نقول كانهم توين موديل. الفرق اكو بريدكت بالريجريشن when you know the x value اللي هي الاندبندنت تكون معلومه، الاندبندنت تكون انت تتنبأ بها بريدكت. هاي احنا بدنا نحكي عن المستوى الاول دكتور. فهو هذا الفرق بين الكورليشن والريجريشن، اكو بريدكت يعني كابابيلتي اضافيه للريجريشن، يعني
من ناحيه النورماليتي او من ناحيه الكونتينوس او الكاتيجوريكال.
لا مو هذا دكتور علي تحتاج تطبيقات. يعني اذا لا هو يحكي بيسك. اي من ناحيه التطبيقات اذا عندك مور ذان 1 فاكتور تريد تقيس بتاثيرهم على اوت كم فاريبل واحد ريجريشن. اذا عندك مور ذان 1 يعني تشوف اند مور يوز ريجريشن. اذا تريد تقيسهم ات ذا سيم تايم والافضل. اذا عندك بس واحد لا. الكورليشن هو نفس اليونيفايريت ريجريشن، يعني هو الكورليشن خلينا اكس وخلينا واي سويتهم بين كورليشن. اليونيفاريت ريجريشن نفس الفكره، اكس وحده وواي وحده، يونيفاريت ريجريشن. يعني هو نفس المفهوم، بس من زاد الاكسس يستخدم المالتيبل لينير نسميه، او مالتي فارييت اناليسيس. اي او مالتي نفس
وعندنا فكره ثالثه بالبارشال كورليشن. انت ايضا عندك مور ذان اكس 1 اكس 2 اكس 3 واي 1، فواحد تستخدم اكس وواي وتعزل تاثير البقيه، فهي هم تاثر. فهو اذا ما عنده البيزك ما هذا المفهوم.
اي بس هو مره سال سؤال تطبيقي انت جاوبته بسؤال يعني سالته بكور يعني بيسك انفورميشن. هاي لازم تعرفوها السترينث والدايركشن. السترينث هي strength of correlation. عندنا strong correlation وعندنا moderate وعندنا weak correlation. وعندنا الدايركشن اذا اثنينهم the same direction we have positive we have opposite direction inverse relationship. هسه دا احكي على هاي دكتوره وياي يعني هسه دا احكي على الكورليشن. انتوا وياي مو احنا رجعنا للموضوع مو قبل شوي طلعنا من الموضوع هسه رجعنا للموضوع. اذا رجعنا للموضوع we have directions we have strength. Either we have strong correlation, moderate or weak correlation. We have either positive relationship, both when I increase x, y increase, or when I increase y, x, y decrease. This is the inverse relationship. We can call it negative relationship. This is mostly when I say continuous variables. الكونتينوس شلون تعرفها؟ scattered هاي scattered يعني ارقام نقطه. بينما انت من عندك كاتيجوريكال لا كاتيجوريكال حتشوف النقاط كلها تجي لو يعني مثل فيميل وميل وقست لهم حتشوفها بس نقطتين قصدي بس مكانين ميل وفيميل. بينما هذا سكاترد من يشوفه سكاترد قول اثنينهم كونتينيوس. هاي معلومه لك اكتب يعني انه اثنينهم ذول كونتينيوس ما طول عندك سكاترد. اذا تشوف هذا السكاترد هذا اللي بالنص قبل ما بي هذا او هذا يعني هن نقاط احنا صور مثلا نريد نرسم به صوره سكاترد بلوت هذول كونتينيوس. نجي على اني ليش ما احب الكورليشن؟ هسه راح اشرح لكم اياه ليش ما احبه. طبعا نرجع للسترينث مالته اكو مودريت سترونج وفيري سترونج واكو فد واحد اسمه كوهين خلى عنا هذا الليفل وممكن نمشي عليه نعتبره سترونج وميدي او مودريت واسمه هذا مو هذا موضوعنا. ونيجاتيف اكو بوزيتيف مثل ما قال الدكتور عبد الله. الكورليشن طبعا الكورليشن هو تيست اعمى احنا نسويه يعني قاسوا relationship between chocolate eating chocolate and the serial killer in Europe or UK. يعني واحد بين الاجرام واكل الشوكولات there is significant positive correlation strong positive correlation between eating chocolates and serial killing. Does this make sense؟ يعني كل القضية هم اكالين مال شوكولات. ليش أنا هسه الإجابة على سؤال الدكتور علي we have so many factors will affect the outcome we didn't include it because in the correlation we measure only the chocolate and the serial killing two variables. We didn't take in account the effect of other confounders or other X's or other factors. So we concluded at the end of our results we have strong positive correlation between eating chocolates and the serial killing, which is unfair, like for example. So this is, I don't want you to, this is misleading conclusion. I know it depends on our result, but the correlation usually doesn't count or doesn't measure or doesn't adjust or doesn't control the effect of other confounders. Income, social status, environment, drugs, smoking, gangs. مو صحيح؟ يعني احنا ذني اذا نخليهن راح يطلع راح نعرف منه السبب الرئيسي مالته. انا مو خالي بس الشوكليت وقلت I found it. It's significant correlation, significant positive correlation واخليها وريبورتد وصعدت وعندي شو اسمه وانزلها تفضلي عندي. كوزاليتي عشتيدك. كوزاليتي ماكو. الكوزاليتي مصطلح شكرا دكتوره. المصطلح كوزاليتي we have to have exposure before the outcome. يعني كوزاليتي is طبعا سووها يمكن انا على طول اعيدها بس يعجبني هذا الموضوع. اعطيكم بريك بعد 5 دقائق. هاي
يمكن بيها 3 minutes يعني
لا خلي لا ما نحتاج شيل هي مش راح نسوي
مو عارفه افككها.
لا ولا تطبقيها؟
لا افككها يعني
شيل الكاميرا بس